American Myths and Legends by Charles M. Skinner. The Walking Corpse of Malden. In the old graveyard of Malden, Massachusetts, is the burial place of a citizen who disturbed the town for years because he would not rest after he was dead. He had been moody and misunderstood in his life, and had given his nights to the study of strange things. Odors of abhorrent chemicals had issued from his house and choked people in the street. Unaccountable noises had been heard in his laboratory. Shadows had flitted athwart his curtains, so goblinesque and frightening that two people who saw them lay down on the spot and had fits. When his death hour came, the man called an attendant who had braved the terrors of the mansion, and with mouth at his ear he gasped,
"In my life I have differed from other men, and by the foul fiend I will continue different after I am dead. My flesh is not common flesh like yours. It will never rot."
Nor did it. His body was put into one of the old-fashioned tombs, 5 feet below the ground, and reached by an iron door in a granite gable. Some years afterward this tomb was opened, and the corpse was almost as it had been in life, save that it had grown brown and hard and dreadful. A medical student, who was greatly exercised by this discovery, and had doubts if it were really a man's body that had been coffined there, visited the cemetery alone on a squally night, entered the tomb, lighted a lantern, and with some composure sawed the head from the body and put it into a bag, intending to remove it to his home, where he could examine it at leisure. No sooner had he finished this gruesome business than there came to his ears whispers from the other coffins in the sepulchre, soft treading in the wet grass outside, moans and wails, stifled gibbering cries, and shadows passed. He saw them on the green and slimy wall of the tomb. His heart was shaken. With a yell for mercy, he flung the head upon the floor, leaped out of the pit, and ran at a frenzied speed toward home, hurting himself grievously by falls and stumbles over graves and stones. Some months elapsed before anyone else took courage to visit the desecrated place. But curiosity would not be stayed, and after a time, adventurous boys would go into the tomb and exhibit the head at the door to scare their smaller friends, especially the girls. This was always in the daytime, with the bright sun shining, for nobody would enter the yard at night, lest they should see the fearful thing that happened when the clock struck 12. On the last stroke of the bell, the tomb door opened. The brown trunk in its mildewed garments crawled out of its coffin, pulled itself up by the door ledge, and went stalking about the cemetery as if in search of its head. At the first crowing of the cock, it went back to its rest. 75 years ago, a man bathing in the river just before sunrise saw a white-robed figure scramble out of the tomb, and, too horrified to realize what he was doing, he fled through the Malden streets, unclad as he was, waking the public with his yells. It was found that the figure was no corpse, but a poor, insane creature that had crawled into the house of death to sleep. The man was so frightened that he would not believe this. He insisted that he had been summoned by a ghost, and from that very day he began to change, becoming silent and self-absorbed, and his death occurred soon after. Then the authorities banked earth against the tomb until its door was buried, and the corpse was never afterward seen abroad.